We typically measure the universe around us as an expanse of cold, silent matter, colliding in a void. Yet we expect the rich, vibrant experience of our own consciousness to somehow emerge from this dead atomic machinery. For decades, science and philosophy have treated the gap between matter and mind as a self-generated explanatory loop. We find ourselves stuck in a cycle, trying to explain how stuff creates feeling, without ever questioning if that division is real to begin with. This rigid boundary defines dualism. It rests on the unproven assumption that an external physical world and an internal mind are two separate substances. By blindly accepting this premise, we contrive a problem where none exists. We spend centuries trying to bridge a chasm that our own definitions created. Look at the screen in front of you. Try to prove that it exists entirely independent of your own mind. You can knock on it or measure its light, but those interactions only prove that an experience of the screen is occurring. We have no way to step outside of awareness to check if the objects causing our sensations exist when we aren't looking. This creates the tautology of realism. A tautology is a circular argument that proves nothing. We claim objects are real because we experience them, which only folds back to reaffirming that experience is happening. The physical world appears external only because our minds attribute reality to our own mental substance. Our foundational belief in a mind-independent world is built on this mirage. We mistake our own internal registrations for evidence of a world that exists without us. This brings us to the principle of immediate ontological evidence. Ontology is the study of the nature of being. This principle suggests that existence is not a theory to be proven. It is the fact of registration itself. The sheer act of a sensation or thought arising is its own validation. This self-evident registration is the ground on which all other ideas about matter or space are built. Everything a human can perceive, from the color red to models of quantum fields, occurs as an event within the field of their own awareness. Reality functions as the act of experiencing itself. There is no hidden place behind the scenes. There is only the shimmering movement of awareness registering its own states. But if reality is just an experience, why does a brick feel so unbreakably solid? Why does the world behave with such rigid, predictable laws? We can understand this through bias. In this context, bias is the basic grammar of existence. It is the simple act of distinguishing one thing from another. Form arises when the stillness of awareness begins to favor certain contrasts, drawing lines in the void. Experience consists of countless tiny micro-orientations piling up. These biases of registration favor one configuration over another, vibrating and adjusting in a grand network of relations. When these biases stack into stable, repeating waves, they lock into resonance. They become so reliable and so tightly integrated that they appear to us as lawful physical matter. A brick behaves with such persistence because it is a resonant architecture of registered biases, tuned to stay stable within our field of experience. This dissolves the hard problem entirely. Matter does not produce the mind. Instead, the mind produces a model of matter and confers reality upon it through its own authorship. We enter a state of authority inversion when we forget our role in this process. We host these resonant patterns, yet we project that authority outward, treating the patterns as if they were a force imposed upon us from elsewhere. This inversion makes us feel like secondary characters in our own lives, powerless victims of cold physics, rigid objects, and external systems that seem to exist without our consent. This externalization of authority is the root of existential confusion. We experience suffering when we attribute the power of authorship to the world we see, rather than the awareness that sees it. Suffering is the amnesia of our own presence. It is a shift in attribution, away from the hosting awareness and toward the patterns it hosts. Remembering the ground of bias allows us to reclaim authorship. When we see that authority gradients and physical constraints arise through our own registration, the distinction between the author and the authored begins to soften. Identity settles into the fact of experiencing itself. we discover we are the self-registering field in which all registrations, including our own bodies and the physical laws of the universe, become possible. If awareness is the fundamental building block, how exactly does this registry structure itself into the complex world we know? What is the precise logic behind these layers of registration? That investigation begins with the realization that you are the self-evidential presence in which all gradients of authority arise and dissolve. You are the host of the entire display.